Hi, my name's Dale, and I want to go through some binding here. So I got your character, or just a quick outline of it, okay? And I've got some bones here, okay? And as you can see, go to the bone layer here, okay? And I actually want to select all these and put a little bone strength on them, okay? Now, and I want to deselect everything. Now, what I got here is I got everything to the master bone, and the reason why you have a master bone is because if you move the master bone around, everything moves. That's the whole point of this one bone down here. It does nothing but control the position of your character. Okay, and how you do that is that everything ends up being linked or hierarchied to the master bone. So that's one thing. Second thing is that if you just put in bones, okay, you're gonna run into problems because what happens here is that the bone strength affects everything. And there are two types of bones. Okay, when you first rig, you'll get flexible binding. And flexible binding, okay, moves everything in the region. You know, it affects pretty much everything. So that's flexible binding. Regional binding goes to wherever the area of the bone is. So you can see that how the head has changed. Let me show you again. See how it's doing the whole head, and hey, neither one of these are very useful, hey, the way they are. So I'm going to stay with actually I'm going to go back in and change this to regional binding. For a rig like this would be more effective. Now I'm going to take the bone strength away from this head bone. Okay. And what I want to do is, take the head, and once you're on the head layer, hey, you have point and layer binding. And layer binding requires you to click that and then click a bone. And it should get larger. See how it got like kind of larger? Now if I go back into the bone manipulate tool, okay, the bone, everything in that layer is just to this one bone. You know, and I could add another bone. Okay, say a bone here. And we're using the Alt key, a bone there, and you check the hierarchy. And if you go in and manipulate them, they don't do anything. Okay, because everything in this head layer is connected to this bone. But there are things you can do. So let's go up here, okay? And you see now, because the head is connected to this one bone, these bones can't do anything because their layer, the whole layer is controlled by this one bone. So how do we get around this? Well, let's go back up here, okay? And in bones, I'm going to release the layer. See now and I have these point options. So what I'm going to do now is, okay, I'm going to select these points here, okay, and I'm going to go bind points. And notice how they get bigger, okay, and I'm going to select these points, and oops, see now that's the mistake people make, or I used to make. Okay, you got to select the bone first, then select the points, and then click bind points. Then you select this bone. I'm going to select this bone. And I'm going to select these points. And I'm going to bind points. And let's see what happens now. Okay. With the manipulate bone tool, we still get full motion. And we get a little here. Now the reason why it's doing that is because I bound this point here. So let's go back and fix it. Okay, make sure I'm on frame 0. And I'm going to select just these points. And I'm going to rebind the points. I'm going to go back in and select the bone. And I'll just rebind these points. Okay. So let's see what happens now. Back to the bone layer, manipulate, and I'm getting all these funky twists and turns. This one ain't too bad. Okay. And of course, now, because these bones, because these points up here have no binding, they don't move at all. So, let me go back here, go through the whole thing. See, this point here and this point here is not bound to any bone. So when you go to the control layer, or the bone layer, and you move it, they don't move. So how do you fix that? Well, the easiest way to do this is to, select all the points again. Okay, I'm going to select this bone. Okay. First of all, deselect. Select all these points. And select the bone. Oh, select all these points. And bind points. Now, everything should move together. The head moves. And unfortunately, I lost the binding on the other two. So I got to go back in and rebind them. So I'm going to select the bone. So you can overlap binding. And I'm going to grab these 3 points. And I'm going to bind the points to that. And I'm going to select this bone. And I'm going to bind the points. And let's go back into the head layer. Okay. Come off frame 0 for testing, because it does help to be off frame 0. And of course, you got the ears moving. And let's see what the body does. Now you got the bodies moving here and such. Now, let's go back to the head. Okay. And I don't like the movement of the ears. Okay, you see how they're flopping around? So this is where SmartBones comes in real handy. So I'm going to just turn around and I'm going to make this into a SmartBone. I'm only going to do one direction. Now I could leave it here on frame 1 of the actions, or I can spread it out. Normally I spread it out and then what I do is I go into the rotation. Okay. That's as far as the ear is going to move for me. And so there's the rotation. Go in the head layer. And I'm going to just tweak that. Actually, you know what I'm missing on this? Let's get out of the SmartBones. And I want to put the peak back into these ears. Okay. So let's see what the SmartBone looks like again with a peak. Okay. There we go. Oops. So that's one way. And I'm going to do the rotation the other way. And go back in. And I'm going to move the points to where I think that. Okay, so let's check this out. Go back to the main line. And of course we got the head flopping around. And we've got the smart bone fixing some of this. Okay, now you notice that if you go too far, it doesn't look right. So let's go ahead and fix that. So we're going to add some more rotation. And I'm going to fix the points. So now let's see what it looks like. Now, you see halfway through here, I don't like it diving in. So I'm going to have it hold its shape a little bit longer. And then there it goes. And back to the head. Oops. And we need to go back to the main line. And you can see how it updated the ear movement. So there you have it. Now, of course, you're going to use smart bones for the here and here. Okay. A lot of times, I would just point rig. Use the points and go in rig. Sometimes rare occasions you'll use the whole layer if you don't want anything else done with the layer. Okay. Another approach you can use is to simply separate the head into one layer and the body into another by adding bones like that. Oops, made a mistake of delete. Visible, apply, oops, apply. Okay. So now I have the body on a bone layer and the head on a bone layer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all these bones. Oh, got to be on the layer that actually has them. I'm going to select all these bones. I'm going to go Control Copy, Control V. I'm going to go back to the head layer, and I'm going to select these bones here, and I'm going to delete them. And I'm going to select this bone. Okay, I'm going to select these bones, and I'm going to delete them. They should go away. That's you know why? Because I've nested it. Let's unnest this. For the moment. No, I don't want it nested. Come on, there we go. So now the body and the head are in separate layers. And what happens is that now it's much more easier to rig because you've separated the body and the head. And the body is now on a separate layer, and it's not going to affect the layer on top. Well, anyway, it's just a long video, but I hope you got some information here. Okay. And, you know, get a little bit more understanding of what's going on. Thanks for watching. Bye.